everyone, and welcome back to my channel. If you've never been here before, then hi, I'm Braylon. I'm a special ed teacher in Massachusetts, and this year my caseload will have first graders and third graders. This video is going to go through my entire classroom. I will be going back in person. My caseload is extremely small. I only have 4 students and 1 staff. I originally was going to be in my classroom, which you're gonna see in about 5 seconds, but the school kind of decided later on that actually they would move me to a much larger classroom temporarily, so it's not like a permanent move, but it would be better for us to have bigger windows so we can have the windows open. It has a bigger HVAC system, more space for social distancing, and so I'm very grateful for that. But what that means is that I have this entire classroom that I just created and I'm not going to be able to use it. I'm going to be bringing pieces of it and still all of the systems will come with me. I want to say a few things really quick. I will be wearing a face mask, a face shield, I will be wearing scrubs and gloves. And for as much as we can, we will be trying to be socially distant. What you're gonna see in this video are a lot of the visuals that I have in place, the different methods I'm going to use to manage behavior, some of the decor pieces, the ways that I'm storing things, how I'm going to be giving students their individual supplies. I'm also gonna be talking a lot about like independent workstations and ways that I'm trying to build independence. Unfortunately, in my classroom, I'm not going to be able to have like plush areas. I normally have like area rugs, and we have places where you can sit and read books, and there's places where you can just take a break and all of these beautiful things. But unfortunately, I can't have any of those things this year. So this classroom is much more minimal, much more structured. Then let's get to the video. So I am here in my classroom. So I want to talk a little bit about my classroom schedule because I feel like that's the most important part of a classroom, is how you're going to transition from one activity to the next. What about when someone is done? What are the options? And so I try really hard to make my schedule as specific as possible. Obviously, things are going to change, so I'm not trying to be like, at 1 minute and 52 seconds, you need to be in your seat. That's not realistic. But I do try to make my class into like 15 or 20 minute chunks. It doesn't always mean that when the 15 minutes are up, you're going to transition. But what it does mean is that a lot of times I'm cluing in after 15 minutes, okay, somebody might need a break or something might change. I want to talk a little bit about visuals and how I'm going to be using them. So I want to kind of break it down, but here's a big overview of the different types of visuals. I already talked about my classroom schedule and how I want that to run. And it's very similar to how I've run things in the past. But when it comes to different groups, I'm going to be super intentional about individual visual schedules that they're going to need just for that time period. COVID, I don't want kids like overlapping and stuff. So I was talking about it earlier today when everybody was in the building with some of the other teachers, just about how important I think that is. So I want to show a couple of examples. So I think I showed this in a previous video, but I have many of these type of schedules. These are from Little Miss Kim's class. And so I have these, and then if it's math time, that they know they're going to go to group 1, then they're going to get a break, then they're going to go to group 2. They have it right here. And then I printed a bunch more, like a bunch more. I need to show you. So this is literacy group schedules. It's the same thing. What happens in literacy. So we're having a writing group, a literacy group, and math groups. It's hard to explain. They're going to be rotating either from their seat to a teacher table, so we're able to sanitize everything. So when they're done with the teacher table, they're going to come back to their personal tables because this will be their space, like their hub. I do want to add, you can't just make a schedule and then hand them to kids and then think you're all set. You have to be intentional about teaching it. And so you have to take the time to show what it's like to do a visual schedule. You have to explain how to use them, what happens, where does the picture go when you're done with it. And that can take a couple weeks to teach that intentionally, where you practice it, you break it down, task analysis, you do a small amount each day. There's a lot of not physical hand holding, but like hypothetical hand holding in a sense of like bringing a kid here and showing what the visual is going to look like. So it's very, very specific and intentional, but I say that because it's important. So you need to be doing it. So I want to start with the front of the room. The first thing that we have over here are all of my visuals, as you can see. We work on these every single day. Don't mind this space on the side because I have a plan for it to add more Velcro and to kind of like shout out students. So that's why it's a little off center. And up here, if you're on social media, you of course know who Dani is, and she's an incredible artist. And so she made this Anatomy of an Ally. And it's funny because I was thinking about where to put it, but then I realized it has all the same elements of whole body listening. But instead, when we talk about being an ally and being a kind person, I can kind of refer back to the whole body listening, but then talk about it in a little bit of a deeper way. So I ended up putting it here, and I'm really, really happy that I did, because obviously being an ally goes a lot with being like a whole listener, because you're really trying to listen and support people. This is my calendar area, which I'm actually really excited about. I will say that some decor things, because they might help you. So this is from Target, but the calendar set is from Teach, Create, Motivate. And then the second part of this calendar, which is like all of these pieces, and down here has a lot of more pieces, that is actually from Simply Special Ed. I want to show you down here, one big thing that I'm trying to do this year is use more real pictures. So for example, like the seasons and like what to wear, the weather, how you're feeling. I want it to be real pictures because I feel like that supports students learning a lot better. This is from Little Miss Kim's class, which obviously I'm obsessed with Kim as a human and as a TPT seller, but we're going to be going through our morning meeting schedule. So I do have the pieces for this. I just haven't put the Velcro on yet. And then up here is the weather. Yes, we'll be talking about the weather over here, but I want to keep a weekly weather. And then up here are the morning meeting jobs, which obviously I don't have my students' names on here because duh. And then we're going to be able to write out the date. And then up here you can see is the specials schedule. Sorry, I can't see that high, so I'm just holding the camera up and hoping for the best, but I will probably have 2 groups, and so this will keep me organized on where they're going each day. I also quickly want to show you an example of the morning meeting book, which goes along with that calendar set from Simply Special Ed. There are like 3 different versions of it depending on where students are. So I've made a couple, but I'm not going to show you because they have students' names on them. But if they're able to write, then they can write the date along with us as we do our morning meeting. And this you can add in the weather, but there's another version that has a Velcro set as well, so they don't have to write if they're not at that yet. They can circle the temperature, circle the weather, how they're feeling. And so I really like it because it goes exactly with the calendar pieces. So for the front of my room, this is honestly my old makeup table that I brought with me to my classroom, which is kind of funny. This is my work laptop, but my plan is to be able to put up the typical slides that I use in my classrooms every year, which have timers and have like our first then. This is hands down my favorite part of my classroom, which is my independent workstation, and this is to build independence. So this whole area that you have, they'll come and they'll sit, they'll get to work, and they'll have their schedule of what pieces they need to do first and then next. Up here is a visual about when you need to sit and work. I have this additional pouch from the dollar store that just will keep extra little pieces, but I'm really excited about how this turned out. My head is cut off. I apologize. I do have a bun at the top of my head. I'm not bald, but I wanted to break this down a little bit more. I have other videos of me setting up independent stations in different classrooms. I still think they're relevant. I set this up the exact same way. It's just that this year, because of my room being smaller, I can't like hide my tasks. I can't like put them in a cupboard and like we're good to go. I have to have them displayed. And so just for me, I needed it to be visual, and I ended up having the space to do it. So this cabinet, is that what it's called? A shelf? This shelf was already here. It was like one of the pieces in the room that was already here, but it worked perfectly and I was so happy. So I bought these. They're $5 for a pack of 5 at Target, and I think they're honestly about the same price at Walmart as well. I bought a bunch of them and I made these myself, but each bucket has a different colored square. And so I also have matching squares that are just in small pieces with Velcro on the back. So for a student to come over here to their independent station, they're going to get a schedule and it'll have the colors. And so they need to come and pick up the colored buckets. Now, I'm saying this is like best case scenario, but chances are kids won't be comfortable using it at the beginning. So similar to everything else in my room, it takes time. It's intentional of how you teach it. So this isn't going to be rolled out for a very long time, but it's set up for when it is ready. And so there are some students that I have that will be able to use it, and there's some that might not be able to use it, and that's totally okay. And so I have a lot of tasks in here. These are file folder versions, but regardless of what it is, these are empty on purpose so that if I know a couple kids are coming here, I set up their bins, lay them out, and so then I can change it in and out. And all of these are laminated, so I can spray Lysol to disinfect, and then these are plastic, so I can disinfect it as well. So excuse the mess on the tables as I'm making this video. I've been organizing everything in order to show you, but I have 1, 2, 3, 4. So for this small room, it fits. So I kind of made them like staggered on purpose so that there'd be more space. So not only are they 6 feet apart, they can also accommodate like a divider if we need to. One of the good things about it was that these desks are huge, so they're super wide. So I think that even kind of gives a little bit more of like a buffer. So if a kid is sitting here, don't mind my face shield, then they have a little bit of space around them. So if a teacher comes up, we're not right all up in their business. And so I've been really excited about it. So if I'm standing from the front, so here's the front, you can kind of span. So I can see 1, 2, 3, and 4. I have one group table, which this middle seat, I won't use this chair. I'll probably only use the side chairs. I do have an easel right here at the front of the classroom, and I'm really excited about it. I don't know if you noticed, but I can't have any like carpets, and so I don't have a carpet down here, which I totally would have kids work together at a carpet. You know what? It's COVID era, so I have to let it go. It has like all these extra like compartments and cubbies. This has my story map pieces, and then what's this? Oh, different like supplies that I put up. They have magnets, so that works really well. So now I'm in the corner of my room, like when you first walk in. I had put strips of Velcro for each student, and it was going to be beautiful. Each student was going to have their own color, and then they were going to have their own schedule, and then me as the teacher would have the master schedule going down like this. Sorry, I can't show that to you guys because I very quickly took it off the wall because I realized that I have to move classrooms. So I'm going to put it up in the new classroom. That's probably the only thing that I will put on that teacher's wall because I don't want to mess up the rest of her decor. But those are super helpful for me. I do have the pieces here organized by color, so each of my students has a different color. These are from Especially Education, and so they go through each part of the day. I love them. And then for the larger master schedule that I had, I showed this in a video, but I made it. And it has every part of the day. So because my day is broken into 15-minute increments, I do like having my own schedule pieces, and they will match these ones. As I pull something off the wall, they will as well. And so that way we stay very organized. This wall, I don't know if you saw my previous video, but it was empty. And so I've since filled it with storage because I need this storage space desperately. This is crooked, but it is a visual that has, usually we'll have all of our names on it and where we are. This is all of my like math manipulatives, and then these are all my language arts manipulatives. Right here is looking very empty, but that's because I have a lot of made for me literacy stuff all over my apartment floor. So I've been working on every single month redoing it. I've already had a video about this, but will be in each of these little cubbies. This is all of my adapted stuff, all my adapted books, easy readers, all sorts of index cards, sight words, handwriting without tears, more letters in different various forms, more adapted books. Up here, I have a ton of extra cleaning supplies, which I will be bringing with me to that temporary classroom. Hand sanitizers, wipes, sprays, everything, because we will need all of that for COVID. Here's the start of my supplies. So those are all the morning work binders. I covered up the names, but each day we'll put these on the tables. So they do that in the morning, but this is where they'll be stored. Each student here has a little cubby, and I want to get into what that has in it, but I want to talk about this first because I had beautiful posters coming of Barack and Michelle, but they're not here yet. And now that I'm moving to a new classroom temporarily, this will probably sit without posters for a while. But you know what? One day when I'm back in business and I'm down here and all this craziness is over, I will be so excited because I can put up my new posters. All right, here we have our stuff, and I kind of want to show you what's in it and why I chose it. So, ooh, I don't know what has just happened. Each kid has one of these. This is from the dollar store. This is from the dollar store. These are from the dollar store. So we're not like, you know, spending hundreds of thousands of dollars. This classroom was honestly the cheapest one I've ever made, and I'm really grateful for that. So I want to show you some of the things. I want everything to be able to be sanitized. That's like the key. So everything is in its own individual container. This has crayons in it, and then one has colored pencils, and then markers are coming soon. I have this sensory bucket, and it's also plastic from the dollar store. Every kid gets their own sand and their own Play-Doh and their own little like toy. The goal of this is a student can get this whole bucket at their table. Then we can quickly spray it with Lysol and bring it back here. So nobody's like using other people's stuff. These black buckets behind are from Target, and the goal of these is their IEP bins, which I don't know if I've talked about. I used them last year and I realized I didn't put that in my videos. An IEP bin is all of the different IEP work that they're working on. And so if it's some file folders that will reinforce that, or just some like manipulatives, each kid gets a bin so that when they're working in different groups, the staff knows exactly what to do. My goal is to mostly be using file folders that are laminated or manipulatives that can be sanitized. I'm not going to spend too much time on this. These encyclopedias were left here from before. Here's the little library area. I turned all of these around because they have kids' names on them. I usually try to organize them by like category or subject, but I kind of felt like at this time, my kids are just kind of looking at books anyway in any type of manner, and if they pick a book, I'm happy about it. And so I didn't bother making like library labels. Down here is my paper sorter. I got this free off the side of the road, so I use it. I have a pocket chart right here that I usually put like colored pages or coloring pages and stuff like that, mazes, but I'm not even going to fill it right now because I'm not even going to be using it. These are my supplies. I'm really proud of this. I just ordered new whiteboards. They're coming in from Amazon, composition books, clipboards, and journals. So kids will get a choice of different toys. I have an empty row right there because there are some more toys being sanitized. And then also don't mind the mess of my table and this stuff on the ground. I won't talk too much about this. This is my small group station where I will be doing most of my teaching and working. But like I said, I can't work in a place that's ugly. And I do appreciate that the walls of this classroom are very neutral. So I did bring in a tapestry that I had made. Those are like a lot of my supplies and organizational things for different days. But I'm not hiding the fact that I'm a real teacher and I have garbage here. I put one chair here and then one chair here because for social distance purposes, I can only really have one student over here and one student over here. So I wanted to share for a second just about overall how I'm feeling. I'm feeling great. I'm feeling like this school year has a lot of unknowns, but it's not like keeping me up at night. I mean, it's crazy and I'm in person, which maybe can cause some people stress, but for the most part, I feel like I'm handling it well. I'm planning a lot of things and I feel really confident in like what we're going to be able to do. I think one wrench was that I came in a bit early and got my room set up only to have it be changed again. So I won't be in this room for the majority of the year. That's what it's looking like. But it will still kind of remain the same. My stuff will still stay here, but it just means I don't get to work out of such a cool place. I'm gonna end the video here. I know it's a small space. This will probably be a shorter video, but I hope that it's helpful. If anybody is struggling right now in terms of like being at a school where they don't feel very supported, I know it's the middle of COVID and obviously don't switch jobs, but honestly, one of the best decisions I ever made was to leave my past position. And even though that meant leaving that massive classroom and coming to a smaller classroom with no storage, and it meant, you know, being in a pandemic, I feel like I say it every time, but I want to say it again, that it was honestly so worth it, and it was such an incredible opportunity for me, and so I can almost like start to get emotional thinking about it. Like I've been in meetings recently talking about COVID, and even though we don't always have a plan, I feel like people are listening to me. And if I had been anywhere else in my previous position or anywhere, I feel like I wouldn't have been heard, and it would have been filled with sassy comments and rude people talking behind your back, and you just don't know what to say. And I feel like I don't want to make this into like a rant, but being in my classroom, planning it out, showing you guys this tour, feeling like even though it's the middle of a pandemic, I feel like I can be safe and teach safely and feel like I have support from the people who are administering over me, is something that I don't take for granted. So I want to say that to you, if you're in a position where you're feeling, I don't know, feeling like underserved and undersupported, it does get better. There is a light at the end of the tunnel, and that might mean looking for a different position. But for right now, I have to hop off of this and I have to start labeling all of my stuff to tell them where to move it to. I'll try and update you guys about my journey as I continue this year. It's gonna be really crazy, but keep a lookout for my other videos as I show you guys kind of what I plan on doing for the first couple days and give you guys as many free things as possible, because I always want to support you guys. Yeah, you guys are amazing. You're the best. I'm tired. I'm hungry. I need to go home. So I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.